My name is Emily. I'm 33 now, but some wounds don't fade. They sit in your chest, heavy as stone, no matter how many years pass. Let me tell you about the night my mother broke my world. It was February 2010, and I was 18, standing on our porch with a backpack slung over my shoulder. The air was sharp, slicing through my thin jacket. My breath clouded in front of me, and the door behind me slammed shut. The lock clicked, loud as a gunshot. I was out. I'd just graduated high school, my head full of college dreams. I wasn't perfect, but I worked hard, saved every penny from my part-time job at the diner. My mother, Diane, was all I had. Dad left when I was 5, and it was just us. Well, us and Rachel, my cousin. Rachel moved in when her parents died in a car accident. She was 17 then, a year younger than me, with a smile that could charm anyone. But I knew her edges, the ones Mom never saw. That night, Mom stood in our living room, her face red, her hands shaking as she held a crumpled letter. It was from Rachel, confessing she'd stolen $2,000 from Mom's savings. Rachel had been sneaking to the city, blowing cash on clothes and concerts. She wrote the letter to me, begging me to keep her secret. "You're my cousin, Emily. Family sticks together," she'd said, her eyes wide, her voice soft. I didn't want to lie, but I thought silence was loyalty. I was wrong. Mom found the letter in my room while I was at work. She didn't ask questions. She just assumed. "You're a thief," she yelled, her voice cracking like dry wood. "I trusted you, Emily. How could you?" I stood there, my heart pounding, my hands cold. "Mom, it wasn't me. It's Rachel's letter." She took the money. Rachel was in the corner, her arms crossed, her face blank. She didn't say a word, not one. Her silence was a blade, sharp and deliberate. I looked at her, waiting for her to speak, to fix this. She just stared at the floor. "Stop lying," Mom said. "I've had enough of your excuses. You're not the daughter I raised. Mom, please, read it again. It's not mine. Get out." Her voice was low now, final. "I can't look at you anymore." I tried to argue, but her eyes were stone. Rachel still said nothing. I grabbed my backpack, stuffed it with a few clothes, my toothbrush, my high school diploma. The floor creaked under my boots as I walked to the door. The air outside hit me like a slap, the gravel crunching as I stepped off the porch. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I walked to the bus station, 3 miles in the dark. The wind stung my face, and my fingers ached from gripping the straps of my bag. The station was empty, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the smell of stale coffee. I sat on a bench, my knees pulled up, my mind racing. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but something harder took over. I wasn't just angry. I was awake. I'd been loyal, quiet, invisible, and it cost me everything. I swore then, under those flickering lights, that I'd prove them wrong. I'd show Mom who I really was. I'd show Rachel what betrayal costs. The next morning, I bought a ticket to the city with the $40 in my pocket. I didn't know where I'd sleep or how I'd eat, but I knew I wasn't going back. That night marked me, like a scar you can't hide. It wasn't just about the money or the letter. It was about being seen as less, about being thrown away. Mom chose Rachel's silence over my truth. Rachel chose herself over me. I carried that with me, every step, every year. I think about that night a lot, the way the door sounded when it closed, the way Rachel's eyes avoided mine, the way Mom's voice cut deeper than the cold. I built a life after that, brick by brick, but the ache stayed. I didn't hear from them for 15 years. Not a call, not a letter. I thought I'd buried the past. Then my phone rang. It was Mom. Her voice was thin, trembling. "Emily, I need you. Rachel's in trouble. We're losing the house." I sat on my couch, the phone cold against my ear. 15 years, and this was her first call. Not an apology, just a plea. My pulse quickened, not with anger, but with something else. Clarity. This wasn't just a call. It was an opening, a chance to face the past and rewrite the ending. I didn't know what I'd do yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't that 18-year-old anymore. I was ready. The past was calling. And I was going to answer. That phone call from Mom stirred something I thought I'd buried. I was 33, sitting in my small apartment, the hum of the city outside my window. My life was steady now. Hard won, but mine. I was a financial advisor, helping people secure their futures. My desk was neat, my plants green, my books stacked. But Mom's voice, frail and desperate, cracked open the past. I didn't answer her right away. I needed to think, to remember, to understand why her call felt like a door I wasn't sure I wanted to open. The years after that night in 2010 were a blur of survival. I landed in the city with $40 and a backpack. I slept in a shelter for a week, the smell of bleach and sweat clinging to my clothes. I got a job waitressing, my feet aching after 12-hour shifts. I saved every tip, enrolled in community college, studied under dim library lights. I graduated with a degree in finance, clawed my way into a firm. Each step was a fight, not just for money, but for myself. I wanted to be someone Mom couldn't dismiss, someone Rachel couldn't betray. But the past wasn't just a memory, it was a weight. I'd lie awake at night, replaying the small moments that led to that slammed door. Mom always saw Rachel as the golden child. Rachel was charming, her laugh bright, her stories endless. She'd spin tales about her hard life, and Mom would nod, her eyes soft. "Rachel's been through so much," she'd say, handing her extra cash or praising her for nothing. I was the steady one, the quiet one. I did my chores, got straight A's, worked weekends. But Mom never noticed. To her, I was just there, like furniture. Rachel knew how to play it. She'd borrow my clothes without asking, leaving them crumpled on her floor. Once she accidentally broke my necklace, a cheap silver chain Dad gave me before he left. "Oops," she said, her smile sharp. "I found it in the trash." The clasp snapped. I told Mom, but she sighed. "Don't be petty, Emily. It's just a necklace." Rachel smirked when Mom turned away. I saw it then, her cruelty, small but deliberate. She didn't just take things, she took my place. The letter was the worst. Rachel confessed in messy handwriting, admitting she'd stolen Mom's savings. She'd been sneaking to the city, buying dresses, meeting guys. "Don't tell," she wrote. "I'll pay it back. You're my cousin." I didn't want to cover for her, but I thought family meant sacrifice. I kept quiet. When Mom found the letter, she didn't read it right. She saw my name, saw money, and assumed I was the thief. Rachel stood there, silent, as Mom screamed. I looked at her, begging with my eyes. "Say something." She didn't. Her silence was louder than Mom's rage. That pattern, Rachel's lies, Mom's blindness, built the trap I fell into. I wasn't perfect. I could have spoken up sooner, shown Mom the letter myself. But I was 18, loyal, scared. I thought Mom would see me, really see me if I just tried harder. I was wrong. That night, as I walked to the bus station, the cold biting my skin, I realized I'd been invisible to her for years. She didn't just kick me out, she erased me. I didn't hear from them after that. Not a call, not a text. I moved on, or thought I did. I built a life, made friends, dated a little, but the scar stayed. I'd see a woman with Mom's gray hair and feel my chest tighten. I'd hear a laugh like Rachel's and flinch. I kept the letter, folded in a box with my diploma. It wasn't just paper, it was proof. Proof I wasn't what they thought. Proof I deserved better. Then, in 2025, Mom called. I was on my couch, a glass of wine in hand, when her number flashed on my phone. I almost didn't answer. 15 years and now she needed me. "Emily, it's me," she said, her voice thin. "Rachel's in trouble. We're losing the house. You're good with money, aren't you? Can you help?" I set the glass down, my hand steady. The house, my childhood home, was slipping away. Rachel had mismanaged their finances, racked up debt, missed mortgage payments. Mom thought I could fix it. The irony hit hard. She'd thrown me out, called me a thief, yet here she was, asking for the daughter she'd discarded. I should have said no. I should have hung up. But something stopped me. I thought about the letter, about Rachel's silence, about Mom's cold eyes. I'd spent 15 years proving I wasn't what they thought. Now they needed me, and that shifted something. Not forgiveness, I wasn't there yet, but power. They were vulnerable and I wasn't. I could walk away, let them sink, or I could face them, show them who I'd become. Not the scared 18-year-old, but a woman who knew her worth. I didn't answer Mom that night. I said I'd think about it. I poured another glass of wine, sat in the dark, and let the memories flood. The necklace, the letter, the door. I saw it all clearly now. Mom's favoritism wasn't just neglect. It was a choice. Rachel's betrayal wasn't just a mistake. It was a pattern. I couldn't keep carrying their weight. I couldn't keep being invisible. I stood, walked to my closet, and pulled out the box. The letter was still there, its edges worn. I unfolded it, read Rachel's words. "Don't tell. You're my cousin." My jaw tightened. I wasn't her cousin anymore. I was done protecting her, done letting Mom's blindness define me. I didn't know what I'd do yet, but I knew I was going back. Not to save them, to save myself. I folded the letter and slipped it into my purse. The past wasn't buried. It was waiting. Mom's call left a knot in my chest. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch, the city lights flickering through my window, the hum of traffic a dull pulse. My apartment smelled of lavender from the candle I'd lit, but it didn't calm me. I kept hearing her voice, thin and desperate. "Emily, you're good with money, aren't you? Can you help?" 15 years of silence, and she thought she could just ask. Like I owed her, like I hadn't walked away from that house with nothing but a backpack and a broken heart. I was 33 now, not the 18-year-old she'd thrown out. I'd built a life, financial advisor, steady income, a small but warm apartment. My clients trusted me to fix their futures. I was good at it, methodical, precise. But this wasn't about numbers. This was about truth, about dignity, about the scar that night in 2010 left on me. Mom thought I stole her savings. Rachel let her believe it. I'd carried their judgment for too long. Now they needed me, and that changed everything. I didn't want to help them. Not at first. I wanted to say no, to let them lose the house, to let Rachel's mess bury her. I pictured Mom's face, pinched with worry, and Rachel's fake smile crumbling. It felt good for a moment, sharp and satisfying, but it wasn't enough. Petty wasn't my style. I didn't want to hurt them. I wanted them to see me, really see me, for the first time. I wanted them to know I wasn't the liar, the thief, the failure they'd painted me as. I wanted my dignity back. I spent days thinking, pacing my apartment, my footsteps soft on the hardwood floor. The letter sat on my coffee table, its edges worn. Rachel's handwriting a ghost from the past. "Don't tell. You're my cousin." I read it again, my jaw tight. She'd betrayed me, and Mom had let her. They'd built a story about me that wasn't true. Now they were drowning in debt, and I was their lifeline. The irony was almost too much. They needed the daughter they'd discarded, the cousin they'd silenced. I could have walked away. I could have ignored the call, let the bank take the house. But that felt like running, and I was done running. I'd spent 15 years proving I was more than their lies. This was my chance to show it. Not with anger, not with tears, but with truth. I started to plan. Not a rash outburst, but something calculated like balancing a ledger. Every move had to count. Every word had to land. First, I'd agree to help. I'd call Mom back, say I'd come to the house, look at their finances. I'd play the part. Calm, professional, the daughter who'd risen above. But I'd bring the letter. It was my proof, my weapon. I'd kept it all these years, folded in a box with my diploma, a reminder of why I fought so hard. The letter would expose Rachel's lie, force Mom to face her mistake. I wouldn't throw it in their faces. I'd let it unfold, let the truth do the work. I knew Rachel's weaknesses. She craved approval, always had. She'd talk too much, try to charm her way out, deflect blame. I'd seen it before. Her quick laughs, her poor me stories. She'd slip up if I gave her enough rope. And Mom? She'd crumble when she saw the letter. She'd built her life on Rachel's perfection, on my failure. The truth would unravel her, not because I wanted her pain, but because she needed to see mine. The plan was simple but precise. I'd go to the house, sit at the kitchen table, go through their bills. I'd find a way to save the house, refinance the mortgage, negotiate with the bank. I was good at my job. I could do it. But I'd set the stage for the real moment. At dinner, when they were relaxed, thinking I was there to save them, I'd bring up 2010. I'd ask Rachel about the money, casual but pointed. I'd watch her squirm. Then I'd show the letter, slide it across the table, let Mom read it. I'd stay calm, my voice steady, my eyes clear. They'd see the woman I'd become, not the girl they'd thrown out. I practiced in my head, over and over. I I stood in front of my mirror, the letter in my hand, imagining their faces. Rachel's nervous laugh, Mom's trembling hands. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want to cry. I wanted to be unshakable. The power wasn't in anger. It was in control. They'd expect me to break. They'd expect the old Emily, quiet, loyal, invisible. They'd underestimated me for years. That was their mistake. I called Mom a week after her plea. The phone rang twice. "Emily?" she said, her voice hopeful. "I'll help," I said. "I'll come this weekend. Send me the financial documents." "Oh, thank you, Emily. I knew you'd come through." Her relief was thick, but there was no apology, no regret, just need. I hung up, my pulse steady. I went to my closet, pulled out a navy blazer, pressed it smooth. I packed my laptop, my notebook, the letter. I checked my reflection, hair neat, eyes clear. I looked like someone who had it together, someone who couldn't be dismissed. The drive to the house was 6 hours. I'd go alone, no distractions. I'd walk into that house not as their savior, but as their reckoning. The night before I left, I sat with the letter one last time. I traced Rachel's words, felt the paper's weight. It wasn't just about 2010. It was about every time I'd been overlooked, every time I'd been less. I'd let their story define me for too long. Not anymore. I folded the letter, slipped it into my purse. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I was ready. I went to bed, the city quiet outside. Tomorrow I'd face them. Tomorrow I'd rewrite the past. The letter was my truth, and they were about to hear it. The house looked tired. Its white paint flaked like old skin, the porch sagging, the garden choked with weeds. I stood at the door, my purse heavy with the letter, my navy blazer crisp against the May heat. The air smelled of dust and blooming lilacs, a faint echo of childhood. My pulse was steady, but my chest hummed with something alive. Anticipation, not fear. I knocked. The sound was sharp, final. Mom opened the door, her face lined, her gray hair thin. "Emily," she said, her voice soft, almost grateful. "You're here." Rachel stood behind her, arms crossed, her smile tight. Her eyes flicked over me, sizing me up. I nodded, stepping inside. The house smelled of coffee and neglect, the floor creaking under my shoes. It was smaller than I remembered, the walls closer, the light dimmer. But the weight of 2010 was still here, heavy in the air. "Thank you for coming," Mom said, leading me to the kitchen. The table was cluttered, bills, bank statements, foreclosure notices. Rachel sat, her nails tapping the wood, her posture stiff. "We're in a mess," Mom continued, her hands twisting. "Rachel tried, but things got out of hand." Rachel's laugh was quick, nervous. "It's not all my fault. The economy's rough, you know?" Her voice was too bright, like she was selling something. I set my laptop down, my movements deliberate. "Let's see what we're working with." My tone was calm, professional. I was here to help, but not for them, for me. I spent hours sorting their chaos. The numbers were grim: missed mortgage payments, credit card debt, Rachel's car loan defaulted. I took notes, my pen scratching, the kitchen quiet except for the tick of a clock. Mom hovered, offering coffee. Rachel watched, her fingers fidgeting. I felt their eyes, but I didn't waver. I was in control. I found a solution, a lender willing to refinance, a payment plan they could manage. I'd save the house. But that was just the surface. Dinner was my moment. I set the table, the plates clinking, the letter hidden in my pocket. We sat, the air thick with unspoken words. Mom passed the potatoes, her hands trembling. Rachel talked too much, about her job, her plans, anything to fill the silence. I ate slowly, the food tasteless, my mind sharp. The clock ticked louder now, marking time. I waited until dessert. Mom brought out a store-bought pie, the crust crumbling. I took a sip of water, the glass cold against my lips. "Rachel," I said, my voice low, even. "Do you remember 2010? The money that went missing?" Her fork stopped midair. Her eyes darted to Mom, then back to me. "What?" she said, her laugh brittle. "That's ancient history, Emily. Why bring it up?" I leaned forward, my hands folded. "Because it's why I left." I looked at Mom now, her face pale. "Or why you made me leave." Mom's lips parted, but no sound came. Rachel shifted, her chair creaking. Emily, come on, she said. That was so long ago. We don't need to. I do. I pulled the letter from my pocket, unfolding it slowly. The paper was soft, worn, but Rachel's handwriting was clear. This is your letter, Rachel. The one where you admitted stealing Mom's savings. $2,000 for your city trips. Rachel's face drained of color. That's not, I didn't. Her words stumbled, her hands gripping the table. I slid the letter to Mom. Read it, I said, my voice steady. You thought it was me. You called me a thief. You locked me out. But it was Rachel, and she let you believe the lie. Mom's hands shook as she took the letter. Her eyes scanned the page, her breath catching. The room was silent, the clock's tick deafening. Rachel's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I was young, she finally said, her voice small. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I'm sorry, Emily. Sorry doesn't erase 15 years, I said. My gaze locked on hers. I was 18. I slept in a bus station. I built a life from nothing, because of your silence. Mom's eyes were wet, her voice a whisper. Emily, I didn't know. I thought. You didn't ask, I said, turning to her. You chose Rachel's story over mine. You chose to believe I was nothing. The words hung there, heavy, true. Rachel's face crumpled, her excuses gone. Mom clutched the letter, tears falling. I didn't feel triumph. I felt clear, like a fog had lifted. I'd said what I came to say. I'd shown them the truth. I stood, gathering my things. My laptop clicked shut. My notebook slid into my bag. I've arranged the refinance, I said. The lender will call tomorrow. You'll keep the house. But this, I gestured to the letter, to the table, to us. This is done. Rachel's voice was desperate. Emily, please. I said I'm sorry. I looked at her, my expression calm. I heard you. It's not enough. I turned to Mom, her eyes pleading. I'm not your daughter anymore. You made that choice. I walked to the door, my steps slow, deliberate. The air outside was warm, the lilacs sweeter now. I closed the door softly, the sound a quiet echo of 2010. In my car, I exhaled, my hands steady on the wheel. The weight I'd carried for years was gone. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't cried. I'd spoken my truth, and it was enough. I drove into the night, the stars sharp above. The victory wasn't their shame or their tears. It was my freedom. I'd faced them, not as the girl they'd broken, but as the woman I'd built. I was whole. I was enough. The road stretched ahead, endless and open. I didn't look back.